Welcome to the Kee To Growth Podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you're in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now.
Hey friends, it's Jen McKee, your host of the Kee To Growth Podcast. If you're a home service leader who's ready for bigger growth, stronger leadership, and more visibility in 2026, listen up. I'm hosting something brand new. The Growth Experience is a powerful 2-day conference happening right here in my hometown of San Antonio, Texas. This event is designed for you if you are an owner or leader who wants to scale smarter with profit-first financial clarity, stronger leadership and sales systems, real operational efficiency, how to use AI tools, and of course, modern marketing visibility that actually works. You're going to learn from incredible speakers, connect with the brightest minds in the trades, and walk away with strategies you can use immediately in your business. VIP spots will even get full content capture experience in two deep dive workshops on confidence, leadership, and storytelling. Tickets officially go on sale January 8th if you have saved your seat on the waitlist. Waitlist gets first access, best pricing, and early VIP access. So go to thegrowth-experience.com to get on the list. Trust me, this is a room you're going to want to be in. March 30th through April 1st, 2026 in San Antonio, Texas. See you there. Welcome back, everyone, to the Kee To Growth Podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today I have a super special guest. I am so excited to bring to you Mike Michalowicz. So, Mike, if people don't know you, please tell them who you are.
It's good to see you, Jen. I guess I am the guy who also wears pink. You have a much brighter pink, but I got it in my shirt here. I'm an author. You can see I got the books. There it is. Strategically positioned. There it is. Behind me.
Right.
But the author of Profit First, along with my newest book called The Money Habit and 10 others.
You've written a lot of books that entrepreneurs likely are familiar with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Profit First is arguably the most popular in the entrepreneurial community, but I work in the entrepreneurial space. So Clockwork is a book on business efficiency. The Pumpkin Plan on organic growth are some of my other popular titles.
Yeah. So, and you wrote these because you owned some businesses. So you had some experience before you started diving into the author world.
Yeah. So I'm an entrepreneur all the way back to out of college. I couldn't get a job, not a good job, when I graduated school. And so the entrepreneurial opportunity presented itself. I was about to say the entrepreneurial bug, but I didn't have it until I started a business and realized it is so hard and scary and terrifying. But I did find this freedom and control in it and fell in love with the process. I've built and sold a couple companies, but I also had been and have experienced deep struggles in entrepreneurship. It was during the darkest period that it brought about authorship. I lost all my money after having my second exit. I sold a company to Fortune 500, and this is God's gift to entrepreneurship. I'm not, and lost everything just out of arrogance and ignorance. But in that period, started investigating what makes entrepreneurs truly successful. And Jen, there was this one number that kind of blew me away. It was this, that almost every entrepreneur starts their business for, or at least in part for, financial freedom.
Yeah.
Yet over 83% of businesses never get there. The vast majority of people struggle financially. And I'm like, what? Are we all stupid? Is there something wrong with every entrepreneur? We can't figure out money? And yet that's what we wanted. And I remember looking at the formula to profit, and it says sales minus expense equals profit. Profit comes last. I was like, oh my gosh, this formula is a lie. It's telling us that profit is last, the final consideration. It's the bottom line, the year end. Those are all things that mean don't do it now, do it later. And so it does play into our human nature. So every book I've written, Profit First challenges that one, but every book I've written challenges this principle we have. And if we're not getting the results we want, there's got to be a better and different way. And that's what I write about.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. Mike's going to be joining us at the Growth Experience March 30th through April 1st. And Mike, I'm sure maybe you found this out or not, but this is an event for contractors, so home service companies, mostly plumbing, HVAC, electrical companies. And everything that you're talking about is what they're experiencing. I mean, even so much of a lot of them are thinking about selling right now. There's a lot of private equity in the home services, which I love your story and Profit First. I'm actually listening to it, which I feel like is fun because you're reading it, right? So I like get to hear you tell the stories
Yeah.
of what happened. And I appreciate that. But and so that experience of like you feel like you've like made it, and then there's just something that happens that completely crushes you. I think that every entrepreneur faces that in business,
Yeah.
probably over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I love the idea. And I asked a lot of people, like, are you following Profit First? Have you heard of it? And there's many people who would be watching and listening to this and coming to the event that have, and then many that have not. I don't know. Just knowing that that's our audience, is there anything in particular to them or any messaging you have for the contractors right now?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So if you already are doing Profit First, you can always amplify and build in the system. But if you don't understand the foundation, you're in trouble. So let me explain what Profit First is. Profit First is the pay yourself first principle, something we've been told in personal finances. I just translated it and applied it to business. So lesson one is, if you want to save money for yourself, when a paycheck comes in, take a predetermined dollar amount, hide it away, that 401k or whatever, and it will be your greatest savings mechanism because it's out of sight, out of mind. And the money
Yeah.
didn't come into your hands first, so you don't feel a loss. It just gets tucked away. Well, in business, what happens is money flows in, and then we see all the ways we need to spend it. Well, I need to buy materials. I need to pay my team. I need that new truck for our business. And then we see the next expense that comes a few days later, and we weren't prepared for it, and it gets us in the sling yet again. So what we're going to do is we're going to start allocating money to its intended use before we even touch it. So now when money flows in, the first thing we're going to do is take our profit, because we got to make sure that the person that took a risk at starting a business is being paid appropriately. So we're going to allocate money to our profit. But as the rest of the money is flowing in, we're going to carve it up to make sure that we're covering the payroll for our staff, that we ensure that that vehicle we are going to need, we're saving for that. Now, it doesn't make money appear out of nowhere. This is not like a magic trick. It just allocates money to different envelopes so that you know when you have enough money to make that spend. And when there's not enough money in there to buy the truck now, you can't. And you need to maybe get maintenance on the existing truck, but you'll be much more thoughtful in the consideration of it. So
Yeah.
it's the pay yourself first principle matched up to what I call the envelope system. That gives you much more clarity from day one.
I think a really interesting concept that I heard you talk about, and I've heard other people mention recently, is this idea that like we all start businesses and we can shout out about like how much revenue
Oh,
the business has created, like, oh, we are doing so great. I have this $1 million business,
Yeah.
but if you're not making any money, like what are you literally in business for?
Yeah. It's the cocktail party. It's funny. I was talking to a company. They're like, we made $10 million. I'm like, that's amazing. She goes, yeah. We did it over 20 years. We were making 250,000 a year or 500,000 a year, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And we made 10 million. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Congratulations on the sustainability. How you doing? And they're like, well, we have no money. And
Yeah.
it's very much the cocktail conversation. We love to brag about the big numbers, but when I challenge people and say, well, how healthy is your business? I often get a different reaction. So what we're going to do is address why you started a business from the get-go. You started a business to take care of yourself, to provide for your family, to provide for your team, not that you are pulling your hair out surviving check by check. And I am
Yeah.
much more impressed by a smaller business that's financially healthy than a quote bigger business that's making a lot of money but is also losing money. When they come to the conference and see me speak, I'm going to talk about not how much we make, but how much we take. That's what we're going to
Yeah.
distinguish.
Yeah, and I have been thinking a lot about, like what somebody is going to get out of being at the conference. And I really think that the ROI is even just understanding how to have a profit.
Yeah.
That's an incredible return. Like I'm I know you say like, we're not going to make magic, like it's not magic, but like, it's kind of magic a little bit. I think it's magic because if you can do that out of sight, out of mind and move something, it is crazy that we can just make things work with less when we don't have it right in front of us.
Profit First is a behavioral based system. So it's based upon, I guess, neuroscience, behavioral psychology.
Yeah.
That stuff is of my interest. And so the math isn't going to change. So that's when people think there may be magic or hoping for it, they think that $1 is going to split into $10. That's not going to happen. But we are going to start taking control of how our mind works and working in complement to it as opposed to fighting it. If you are trying to work with budgets and they frustrate you, if you're emptying your bank account and upset that you didn't have money for some other needs, that's actually normal. That also means that whatever systems you're using now are not complementing your natural behavioral state. So Profit First, if you're the type of person who doesn't use a budget, but instead logs in their bank account once a week, multiple times a day,
Yeah.
that's awesome because Profit First is designed to work with that. It's a cash flow management system wired to work with our nature.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about, I want to talk about like, if you're using Profit First and maybe like we don't even have to bring Profit First into it because I know you have a lot of experience in other things, but I think one thing that a lot of business owners struggle with is like how to start creating a budget, especially for new things and as you're growing. So, if you did 500,000 in revenue last year and then you did 1.5 this year and then now you're on track for 3 million, like trying to create a budget as you're continuing to grow in revenue is really challenging.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? And I'm thinking about it from a marketing standpoint, but we have budgeting for everything. And so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So Profit First or budgeting is a dynamic system. So we'll adjust to the market as it moves along. There are at different stages of business distinct needs. When you're small, maybe it's sub-million, often the owner is doing the vast majority of the integrative work, meaning the actual service, but also a lot of the sales. You're the multiple hats person. Once we get to that 1 to 3, we need to hire more doers and become a better salesperson. Otherwise, we'll get caught in what I call the double helix trap, which is you're surging on sales and you're out there, you're working to push hard, but now you sold it, you're obligated to do it. You run back and you lead the work. You're the lead technician, but if you're the lead tech, you're not selling. And it kind of starts this pattern of a double helix. The way out of it, usually after $1 million in revenue, is to start becoming more of a salesperson and allocating more individuals, more team members to actually get the work done, which means our budget needs to change to shift to that integrative work. And then once you get to the next level, usually it's 2 or 3 million. It can be more. We start extracting you from sales. Maybe it's educating your service team to also be salespeople. We start budgeting accordingly. There's economies of scale. You may actually need less vehicles. In the very beginning, you have usually a 1-for-1 ratio. Every tech out there needs their own truck. But as you start scaling, you actually need less equipment as you bring on more people. So it dynamically shifts. The nice thing about Profit First, which we'll talk about at the event, is we use a percentage-based system. So as money flows in, we're going to start tweaking the percentages as we grow to optimize the business's budget on the fly.
Yeah. And then what about when you contract? A lot of companies have recently experienced, 2020, 2021, 2022 were incredible years for home services. And then 2025 and 2026 have been a lot slower. There's been less demand. The economy has changed it. And so people are feeling tightness in their business. And when you create this business based on the sales or the revenue or the growth from, these past years, and now you're facing years of retracting, like that makes budgeting even more of a challenge. I know with Profit First, you can adjust the percentages, but we're talking about operational expenses.
For sure. I invest in businesses and we have 17 active investments right now. And the first thing we do is we put Profit First into these businesses. And sometimes they're contracting businesses. In fact, most cases we work with what we call at-risk businesses to fix them. Well, we've been saying, and this applies to your question, Profit First won't fix your business. It tells you what needs to be fixed within your business. And what I mean by this is if you are shrinking revenue or top line, since Profit First is based on a percentage basis, there's less cash being distributed out. And what's going to reveal is you don't have as much money clearly going into different elements of your business as you did in the past. And now It forces us to be aware of this and make hard decisions. The mistake I think many businesses do is they start playing a cash flow game. They say, well, you know what I'm going to do is we're going to buy the equipment we need on credit card, which will free up some
Yeah.
cash, and we'll use that cash to cover payroll so we can keep our team on board. But what you're doing is really using credit cards to pay payroll. You're going into debt to sustain a business. So this method very quickly reveals when something isn't working, and it's going to force hard decisions. Most shrinking businesses that fail inevitably is because the business owner didn't make a hard decision quickly enough. They
Yeah.
say it's because cash flow. It's because the hard decision isn't made. They simply try to stretch cash flow and they fall because of cash flow. It's actually decision making that's the problem.
You tell a story in the Profit First book about, and I'm bringing this up because I know people who have done this. So this is a common story where you have a business and revenue wise, I mean, it's doing okay, right?
Yeah.
But like, people, owners within the business have to take a job to sustain their
Oh,
life. And I know so many
kills
people who
me.
have done that. And
Yeah.
like in your book, when you're saying that, you're talking about like, why wouldn't you just go back to working in your business and let the people go? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
If you look back at your kindergarten class, Jen, how many kids were in your kindergarten class? 20?
I have no idea. Yeah,
Right.
probably.
Probably 20. So most kindergarten classes are 20 to 25 kids. Here's why I'm asking. Of the world population, about 3 kids per kindergarten class, 17% will ever start a business. And only about 1 of those 3 kids will ever sustain it on a healthy basis. Which means the other kids from your kindergarten class, 19 to 24 kids, are looking for good jobs with good businesses to live a good life.
Yeah.
Therefore, the number one job of an entrepreneur is not to do the job, it's to be a creator of jobs. Our job is to create jobs.
Yeah.
If you are working elsewhere, you're stealing a job from someone else, but you're not caring for your business. If you're working within your business, you are not doing your primary job, which is to create jobs. So what we need to do is get really on top of the finances and nail it down. In the very beginning, you have to do the work. We can't afford to bring someone on at no cost. And usually as a business owner, we're willing to do that for a period of time as long as we can sustain. But as the business grows, as long as we're financially prudent, we have to have other people doing the work. If you are doing the job in the business, there's something askew, something missing. We got to work on those numbers. We got to make more hard decisions.
Yeah. So what do you suggest? I mean, making hard decisions is sometimes letting people go, which is in the opposite of what you said of creating jobs, because now you have
Correct.
to eliminate jobs.
Correct. But are you going to save the ship or are you going to save the person? So it's
Yeah.
like, if your ship is sinking and the only way is to get rid of some weight and we can keep this business afloat, we may have to let some people go to save the entirety of the business, which allows everyone else to sustain. The biggest mistake I see people make is say, well, my job is to create jobs. Therefore, I'm going to keep everyone on board and the entire business is going to be out of business in 6 months and everyone's losing their job. So sometimes
Right.
there must be
Then you're
hard
not doing the responsibility of
Yeah.
your.
And it's not even fair to the people. Listen, letting someone go is brutal for you and in the moment for them. But also you have a business that can't sustain with them. You are at least freeing them up so they can have an opportunity elsewhere where they can sustain. I think the most vindictive thing, even though it's not intended this way, is to retain people and just keep them on board, even though you know the long-term health of your business is going under, because you're preventing them from seeking an opportunity that they can sustain at.
Yeah, that makes sense. Key Heart Marketing specializes in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to build your brand awareness or drive leads using social media ads. If you're ready to elevate your social media, go to keyheartmarketing.com or follow us on social media. Okay, I want to shift a little bit into marketing.
Yeah.
So you said, you're invested into 17 companies. You've worked and sold and grown multiple businesses, including the business that you own right now.
Yeah.
How I know I brought up budgeting, like your marketing budget before, but how much are you willing to give to marketing to grow? Because we know, we're talking a lot about the money that we already have that's coming in, but we're not talking about how we get that money coming in, because regardless, and if we're in a sinking ship right now, or if it's feeling really stretched, we need more. We need more marketing.
Yeah, we need more business.
Or sales, either marketing or sales. There's one of those that we need more of.
I wrote a book called Get Different. And what I did was study how most marketing works. And what I
Hmm.
believe is in effect, marketing is the tax for not being differentiated in the market. There's certain businesses that we do business with because they have such a great reputation for excellence that supersedes all marketing. It invokes word of mouth, or they're so unique and so different. So I'll just give a quick story. I used to
Okay.
be in the computer space, computer systems, and I was marketing like crazy, going to the networking events, sending out postcards, doing anything. It was a struggle to get businesses, clients on board, mailers, and so forth. And then one day, a company came in and just beat us to Sunday. And what it was Geek Squad. Now, what Geek Squad did was they were definitely not superior. Their services, actually, I would argue, were inferior, but they were willing to be different. So they dressed like geeks and they lapped
Yeah.
up the whole world knows of them, and no one knew of my company. So the first challenge I invite anyone in the home services is to do different. Now, I'm
Hmm.
not saying you have to dress like geeks, but I'm telling you it works. And I'm telling you, your competition is afraid to do it. So what would be the uniform that you wear is so unique? Do you wear only a solid color? It's always purple, or whatever it is. But you can do something like that. Secondly, is how can we market in a way that no one else does? So I worked with a photography association. I'm just trying to give ideas. The number one way not to market is how everyone else is. So I asked this photography association, I said, well, everyone mails out postcards with portraits that they've taken saying, we want to do yours next. They mail it out during the holiday season or graduation. I said, okay,
Yeah.
that's not going to work because the customer already is rejecting that. So what we did is we said, what does no one do? They said, well, no one sends out an empty frame. You have to send a picture. So we said, okay, we're going to be the first photographer to send no picture. What we did is we sent a frame out as our mailer, a nice frame, and in it said almost every picture goes into the cloud, but the one you cherish goes into frames. We'll create the one you will forever cherish. That their phone rang off the hook and they didn't show a single picture.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is marketing more aggressively and spending more is not the solution. Marketing better, aka different than your competition, is the solution. And there may be a cost associated with it. Those frames weren't free, but
Right.
what is no one else willing to do? The last thought is do some R&D, which means rip off and duplicate. Look outside your industry. Look at
Yeah.
what do restaurants do? They leave, you know what? Fine hotels leave a card on your pillow saying we have the opportunity to service your hotel room, and they left you a chocolate. Why aren't we doing that as a home service provider? Do something that is so remarkable that your existing customers talk about it and they tell their friends, you got to hire this company. They're so unique.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. I love reading about that and hearing about that. That's one of the reasons I like to talk about the Savannah bananas because of how well Jesse Cole does that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever, when we were talking about him earlier, I don't think I've ever seen an ad, but they're everywhere.
Right?
Yeah,
Everybody knows about him.
everyone knows about them because they're on ESPN. They're so newsworthy. There was an article about them today in USA Today. They are so unique, and
Mhm.
we have an opportunity. Robert Stevens, he's the founder of Geek Squad, said something that's forever changed my life when it came to marketing perspectives. He says, the more ordinary an industry, the more extraordinary the opportunity to differentiate. There's nothing more ordinary than home services, and that is a blessing. If you're willing to do something different, to be courageous like the Savannah bananas, it will pay off hundredfold.
Yeah. I love that so much. When I go to events, I always wear sequins, and I was just talking to somebody about it,
Love it.
and it's because everybody remembers who I am, and there's no question. So then when they see me, it's very obvious that it's the same person. They don't have to think about it. It's like something that's memorable, and it makes it a little bit sticky. So even we were talking about our friend Tersh earlier, and Tersh wears a 5-piece suit every day. And so it's different than what you would normally expect from a service tech coming into your home.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine all your texts, everyone comes in a suit. Wow. Like people will be talking about that. Now, listen, you can't skip out on the quality service. You can't be a horrible service, but your customer is judging you on very few things.
Yeah.
As a home service provider, you're probably doing hundreds of things that the customer will never see. But they do see, do you show up on time? They do see the way you present yourself, the cleanup afterwards. What if your service included a home cleaning service after you were done? Like, just start thinking of ways that are radically different. And if no one else is doing it and you're the first, you'll get noticed. You'll definitely get
Yeah. I love that. So I know we're almost out of time here, and you have a new book that just came out. Do you want to just share a little bit about what that is?
Sure. It's called The Money Habit. And so what was interesting is I wrote Profit First, which brings profitability to businesses. And I started getting calls from business owners saying, hey, my business is now solid and I'm making a lot of money, but I got to tell you something, my home finances aren't the best. I've, as my numbers have grown at work, my lifestyle's grown so rapidly that I'm super dependent on this business always crushing it, and I'm panicked. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, your finances are only as healthy as both your home and your business. So I wrote The Money Habit, which is Profit First translated to home finances. And it's similar, but not same, but it's a similar system of Profit First. It works at the bank level, and it'll assure that you're financially independent at home too, not just in your business.
I love that, with that magic. Okay, so you are on the Kee To Growth podcast. So at the end of every episode, we ask our guests the same question, which is, what is the key to growth?
The key to growth is leaning into your natural talents, the things that give you joy. And when you find that your work is all joy, well, it's not work, and you are primed to be better than your competition who sees it as a work.
Yeah. And when you're making money and you have profits, you don't have to stress about it either.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the trifecta. I start off with what gives me joy, and then I sure it's a healthy, profitable business, and then every day is a holiday.
Right. I love that. Okay, so tell people, I mean, besides the fact that they'll be able to find you at the Growth Experience Conference, March 30th through April 1st,
Yeah.
where else can they find you online?
Yeah, we definitely got to hang out at the conference. That's the starting point. But online, you can go to Mike Motorbike. Talk about different. So my website's mikemotorbike.com because my last name is so hard to spell. So I was like, oh, what do? You make a rhyme. Now, here's the little story behind it. That was a nickname I got in grade school. I've never driven a motorcycle, but Mike Motorbike was my nickname because it rhymed. I do have lots of other nicknames, but they are so profane, so inappropriate. I couldn't buy the domains.
That's so funny.
So go to mikemotorbike.com. You'll be surprised by a little Easter egg that when you go to that page, you'll actually see this. I believe so much in different marketing, you'll see that the site will be like nothing you've experienced before. I promise you that.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining me here. I can't wait to see you in San Antonio.
Me too. I can't wait to see you.